Shane Byrne is with us because the Ireland team has just been named for it's a do or die. Obviously, we're not going to die, Shane. Surely it's Russia. So,
well, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
We picked a good team.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting team. There's no doubt about it. Tons of changes all the way down. Carney back in, I suppose. A few eyebrow raisers. Ringrose starting again, which means you would assume that he's thinking for the quarter-final.
Yeah. So is this the quarter-final? Is this? I don't know. It's hard to tell exactly, right? Isn't it? He's not dropping Stockdale, surely. So, let me just tell everybody listening what the team is. So the front row is Kilcoyne, Scannell and Ryan. It's Tadhg Byrne and John Klein in the second row. It's Rhys Ruddock, Peter O'Mahony plays again, and Jordy Murphy starts just fresh off the plane or jet lagged off the plane, depending on your outlook on that one. It's Earls and Conway on the wings. It's Luke McGrath and Johnny Sexton, 9 and 10. Bundy Aki, Gary Ringrose are 12 and 13, and Rob Kearney plays again at 15. The bench is interesting because Sean Cronin, Andrew Porter, Tyke Furlong, Henderson, Stander, Carberry, Carty and Larmour. Did I miss one on the bench? No, that was it. Henderson, Stander,
you're right.
Carter and Larmour. So Carberry is our scrum half cover.
Yeah.
Carty is obviously our out half cover, and Larmour covers the back three, and Carberry probably covers centre and back three as well, as required.
Yeah, and you've got to remember is that one of the things with Sexton and that leg stroke groin injury that he has, if he can't kick, I would say they'll get Larmour onto the park somewhere full back or somewhere.
Carberry.
Carberry.
To kick,
on the to get to place kick, because look, that was a problem the last day. Now Conor Murray is normally a better kicker than that. It's a better success rate.
Yeah.
But it is something he's going to have to think. It's amazing to see it. Like a couple of things. I was really surprised to see O'Mahony in there, and it's unbelievable to think of saying this, but could this be he really, really has to perform, because he hasn't been on form. He's had dips in his, in the way he's been playing. I think it was 2 seasons ago, or maybe a little bit more, and then he came back and he was absolutely essential to everything that we've done. And it's just the first time that you'd be looking at him going, he really needs to pick up his game. I was surprised I didn't see Ruddock in there as captain.
Yeah, it's funny because Sexton's the captain.
Yeah.
Which is, all the papers today got the team and they just assumed that O'Mahony was captain, and he's not captain, which is okay. Is that a shot across the bow from?
Oh, well, I would presume so. I honestly do think that it is. He hasn't been in form, and notably not in form, because he's become so important to what Ireland do, that when he's not on the form we need him to be, it's quite obvious. And he got in trouble with the ref and everything the last day, which you really need your senior players not to do that.
I think I'm right in saying he's picked 7 here, right? So does that mean he's our backup 7? When you look at that back row, all of them have played everywhere. So Rhys Ruddock is named 6, O'Mahony 7, and Jordy Murphy is 8. Murphy has obviously played 7 for Ireland and played 7 for Leinster.
7 for Ulster.
A good bit, and played 7 for Ulster. Rhys Ruddock made his international debut as a 7 and got man of the match against Australia. Granted, it was a one-off, but it's not like he hasn't done it. And he's probably a 6 now, more than anything, isn't he, Rhys?
Oh, no doubt. They would have travelled with the squad knowing that O'Mahony was the
backup 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because look, Van der Fleer has just, I think he's been absolutely incredible. Massive engine, and one of the very few players, literally very few players, who could have come out of last weekend with slightly head held high with his performance. He never stopped working throughout. So,
when you see this team, what are your conclusions? It's 11 changes from the game against Russia. What do you think?
I'm thinking it's great to see. It's not, at least there's no panic at the squad by Joe Schmidt, in the simple sense that he isn't going with the same old again. Remember this happened back in 2007 when Eddie ended up picking the same team pretty much right the way through because results didn't go his way. So it's good to see that they are willing to take changes and willing to give the squad the opportunities. There's guys that are going to go in there that are going to, not leave anything behind. Particularly Kilcoyne, Scannell, these guys have a superb opportunity to really they've come off the bench. Kilcoyne in particular, every time he's come off the bench, he's had an impact.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really, really happy to see Tig Byrne get a start. You know, because it's very hard for him. Every time he comes off the bench, again, he has an impact, and these guys deserve to stake their claim on it. I suppose it's interesting, the Stockdale-Conway thing. You mentioned that Ronan O'Gara was having a crack at him in defence. That is something that has been a standout. Look, we know he's absolutely outrageous try scorer, and he is a superb player, and he'll tackle a man mountain running at him, but he has from day one found it very hard to behave in a set defensive pattern. And I wonder, just wonder, would they possibly look? Conway's form has been immense.
Yeah,
you know, literally, you know, for a season and a half, himself and Earls have been fantastic. And you know, would there be a chance, an opportunity, maybe for Conway to stake a claim?
I mean, Conway played so well in the first game.
Did.
Like, if you're a coach, is the thing that's in your memory the team that played well and won versus the team that didn't play so well against, you know, that actually has had our most shocking defeat since Lons, you know, like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there, you know.
Oh no, it is. It's right up there, and you know, for the ripple effect that it's created throughout the World Cup, because on, you know, social media and everything, watching so many other players and ex-players from other teams and other countries, you know, really, really react to it, you know, was because the one thing going into this World Cup was because everybody harkens back to 2018, and we all would have loved the World Cup was 2018, but it's not. But our form back then was, the most important thing is we were a really, really difficult team to play against, really hard to play against. And if we got our nose in front, pretty much we could strangle out the game.
Yeah.
And everybody was very concerned, talking to you guys, that if Ireland found that form again, that nobody would want to play us at any point. And this was where, against Scotland, it looked like we were back there. The two important stats that always used to be the trademark of a successful Joe Schmidt team: single figures, penalty counts, single figure missed tackles. Which, of course, that went out the window against Japan. But against Scotland, it looked like they were back. There was a huge opportunity to get a real positive run going. Now, that's gone, and it won't come back. So what is needed now is a team that'll go out and play really positively and create a bit of atmosphere back, even within the squad. Because they do have a situation now where it is in their hands. It's a really weird situation to be in, that despite losing, if we definitely get 2 bonus points in the next 2 games, we're definitely through. 100%, can't be debated, no matter what happens. Anything less than that, anything at all less than that, we're dependent on results. And we would love, obviously, if Scotland did a job on Japan.
This is like such a different team. 11 changes from the side last week, that if this team puts in a performance, it's hard to, there's a few people who obviously automatically come back into it, but not a lot of automatic starters given form at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, it suddenly does. Again, talking pre-tournament, O'Gara said to us, look, I would say it's mapped out exactly how many minutes everybody's going to get for those games, assuming things go well. Things haven't gone well, but it looks like they're sticking to the plan. They're not just, as you said, doing what Eddie O'Sullivan did and putting the same team back out again. So this team might always have been the team that was scheduled for this game, with maybe Chris Farrell wouldn't have played last week, would have played this week.
I wouldn't be so sure that it's quite that. I wouldn't say Johnny Sexton would have been expected to be in here. I would say, I know it would have been riskier against a more physical team.
I'd say they were going to have Sexton play 2 games of the first 3 and then rest him for the 4th and pick him again for the...
No, I think he would have played
against Samoa as well.
A role against Samoa.
Okay.
To get in, because it would be very important. We see, this World Cup was meant to be, again, unusual in that we, after the first round, we would have known who we were playing in the quarterfinals. So everything was in the perfect position, exactly where we wanted it to be. So Joe could have mapped out his teams. But the problem is now that we now have a different task. We now have a different goal. And there is no doubt that this team is experienced enough. The one thing, he's always developed the players so that when they are needed, there's no rabbits in the headlights. There's no players that are just going to up onto the big stage for the first time. All these guys are hungry and know exactly what they want to do. But the one thing we'd like to see which would be interesting to see, does Joe do it, as you just alluded to, is do these guys all have a chance? If we get through to the quarter-final, do all of these guys have a chance of starting in that game?
So let's assume for the sake of argument that we do make it through, the back line, you would assume Conor Murray starts, right? So it's Murray, Sexton, Bundy Aki, Gary Ringrose, Keith Earls, Andrew Conway and Rob Kearney.
Let's just throw another, Henshaw. You know, it is such a pity not to see him there. You know, because I don't think there's any debate, and like a lot of people don't think it's the case, but I still think that Henshaw and Ringrose are the best centre partnership that we can put out there. You know, when Henshaw was on the park against Wales, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. So
he played there with Bundy.
Yeah.
And their partnership looked like it was the same partnership when they were
back in Connacht.
Exactly. So this is Ringrose, and the stats are, it's his 7th game since the 10th of August.
Yeah.
4 times he's played the full 80 minutes. And Schmidt says it's a risk, but he's feeling great. Henshaw's on the cusp of being available, but that's a risk we don't feel we need to take because Bundy Aki is back and Chris Farrell concussion means our hands are tied with him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, obviously Ringrose doesn't play next week.
Yeah.
He can't be involved in the 22. You would presume that that's what's going to happen. So therefore, there's the chance for the Connacht duo to get going again.
Yeah, and I think Ringrose has been good compared to like the pre-tournament when it was like, oh, he might be the fourth now of those centres.
Yeah, which is mad to think. But like his form when he has, again, I suppose like Van der Fleer last week, he certainly in the first half he was outstanding, and he looked like to be a man standing out alone there. And to me, I just think he offers, his work rate is excellent, and he offers that extra little bit of a skill set towards the others. And the two, I still just the two, Henshaw on the inside, because his work rate, he can do.
That's what I was asking, sorry, yeah. So who is at most at risk? So let's say next week, let's say Bundy Aki plays again next week against Samoa, and they bring Henshaw back. You can see them sticking with that easily, and Ringrose is the bench player at that point, which would be like a brilliant player to have on the bench, because he can, if he's coming in the wing, you're not suddenly going oof.
Yeah.
If he's coming in,
hard on him though.
It would be very hard on him.
You know, since he's came back since that Wales game, you could say that he literally has been back to form. You know, remember he exploded on the scene season or so ago, and you know, everybody was wondering, is he going to tip on like Brian did? And, you know, would he be? He has a very, very brilliant skill set, both great work rate in defence, super attacker of the ball, good hands. And it hasn't gone that way. More so to me that the fact that Henshaw has been injured. I think there was an opportunity there for the two of them to become a Darcy or Driscoll, you know, that the two of them are set there. In fairness, Farrell and Bundy Aki, every time they got in, again, they do superb as well. But I think he could end up, you could have just spelled it out there, because if Aki and Henshaw go well against Samoa, it'd be hard.
Can I ask you about
change him?
Can I ask you about the hooker situation? Obviously, Scannell started, it looks like, as number 2.
Yep.
Because he gets the nod for the first game.
Yeah.
And then they decide to play best again in the second game because Sexton's not playing, because there's a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
I don't know what what that whole thinking was there.
I think, look, it made a statement, I suppose, that they were taking the 2 games very seriously, and he was part of that, you know, and it was just, it would have been the amount of leaders on the park, but there still should have been enough, we would have thought, for what was ahead of us in the Japan game when they were making the selection. I don't know. I think Scannell is superb, and he definitely came out here as number 2. We know that Joe has had his issues with Cronin, but Cronin, I thought, came onto the park and did very well against Japan, and made a notable impact. And he certainly has abilities that the others don't have in his running and his explosive power. But it all depends on what way, you know, Joe goes. Does he want his hooker to be, you know, a very hard-working, the best likes a very hard-working, safe hooker that gets the job done and will never ever let you down?
Do we have any of those?
Well, there you go. But closer to that is Scannell. Closer to best is Scannell.
I mean,
and where Cronin brings something else. But we all know, unfortunately, you know, it's become a bit of a monster. If the throne goes goes, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, and so my question about the best situation was his stock was so high after the Scotland game because he played so well.
Yeah.
But he's on the field when we have the attacking platform to win the game.
Yeah.
And the line out goes awry. Like, does that remove all the good stuff that he did from Scotland? Are we back to having those doubts about whether or not Best is our first choice?
Well, you see, Best is more, you're not just talking about the player Best. There's the aura, and the team are very, very used to him being captain. And him not being captain has a ripple effect. You know,
Johnny Sexton's our captain for this game, and like,
well, I know that.
He's our best. Look, as Johnny Sexton goes, so we go, and maybe he should be captain.
Yeah, but we don't know the talk and the control and the what happens in meetings and how vocal Best is in the lead up into a game. Can
I ask you a question about that, right? Say he's brilliant at that.
Yeah.
Would that prevent him from being brilliant at that and not playing?
All right, yeah. Well, see, it's a very difficult call. You would like to think that Joe has the ability to not have Best at hooker. That there's enough senior players there to be able to, okay, look, let's say Scannell comes out and has an absolute stormer, or Cronin comes on and does likewise, that he has the ability to make that change. And, it'd be very poor, because we started this conversation, one of the things, they're hoping that these guys have the opportunity to play in the quarter-final. And that should apply also to the hookers.
Yeah.
It obviously, it'll not be just the natural law of things. There's a lot more to it, to dropping your captain and the guy who's been captain for a long time. There is just a familiarity in that. So you're not just competing against how he's playing.
I know.
But if one of them steps up good enough to be outstanding.
All of Joe Schmidt's managerial and coaching career in Irish rugby is coming down to the next couple of weeks.
No doubt.
And so does he, if Scannell's starting and Cronin coming off the bench gives you a chance of beating South Africa or the All Blacks more than Best starting, but he keeps Best because of loyalty, that...
Well, no, you're still going to get a certain amount. Best will not let you down in 99% of the things he does. And it depends on what happens. Like, if you look at the two lineouts that he missed, there was a complete overthrow, but there was a slipped lift on that. So we don't know how far that. Now, it looked like he missed it by an acre.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that. It was the throw, and then the complete underthrow had to have been a missed call. If the ball slips, it doesn't go low, it goes out. And so. It all depends on how that was analysed and broken down. Was that Smith or was that Best just having a brain fart and he threw two terrible throws? And then that's a worry. That's a big black mark that he has the ability, because particularly the second one was in such an important position, back deep into their 22, whereas he still ticks so many boxes. His work rate, his stats are through the roof in pretty much everything else. So do you hang everything on just the performance in the line-out? Or do you still think, okay, he's the captain, he has all this effect that he does or doesn't have, we don't know, off the pitch.
Yeah.
And then he also ticks these many boxes on the pitch.
You're picking him then, it sounds like, at the moment.
Oh, no, I'm presuming he wouldn't get dropped.
Okay.